called for his presentation. I learned a lot. It's going to be now how we moved the Schultzville Masonic Hall from down the road, as some of you may know or may not know.
You're fuzzy.
Microphone's not working?
It's working. Oh, too close.
What?
Vibrating.
I'm sorry?
You're vibrating.
A little further away.
Move the mic a little further. Can you snap it down below on it?
I'll hold it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
Yeah, no feedback.
I'm not going to start again.
No.
Okay, so as most of you know, the Masonic Hall was originally in the heart of the Schultzville hamlet, next to the Schultzville garage. And there's some background that I want to give you before you actually see the move. The structure was built in 1865 with a $2,000 in land bequest from Theodore Augustus Schultz, who lived in the hamlet. His father was Daniel Schultz, who owned the store, and his father settled Schultzville in 1807. He died very young at the age of 23, but with his father passing just 2 years before, he had inherited a lot of money. And when he found out at age 21 that he did not have long to live, he was suffering from tuberculosis, he began thinking, well, how could I use this inheritance to better the town? And one of his projects was the town hall. So he approached the lodge master. They were meeting in Lafayetteville at the time, and he asked them, if I bequest the land and money to build a Masonic Hall here in Schultzville, would you move the meetings to Schultzville? And they said, absolutely, we'll do that. Membership grew like a weed, and by 1958, they had so many brothers in the lodge that they built an addition in the back, as well as one on the side for the kitchen, because they had big dinners as one of their main activities. However, beyond that, membership continued to decline, such that in 1995, there were only 5 active members, and they could not afford to keep the building up. It was deteriorating. They were paying taxes, and they just couldn't keep it up. So they were about to sell the property to the Hyde Park Elks when the Clinton Historical Society heard about this and made a proposal and sat down with Don Bowman, who was the leader of the Masons at that time. And they came up with an agreement that if the Masons donated the property to the Historical Society, the society would restore it. They would use it for community purposes, and the Masons would continue to use the building for their meetings as they had done since 1865. So it was a done deal, worked out. So the ownership of one of our prime historical structures did not move out of town, thanks to the society. So the society did restore their property, and one of the ideas was to bring other nonprofits in to help maintain the building, use the building, maintain it. But that did not work out. In 2011, the town of Clinton acquired the property for expansion of office space, but also not only would they preserve the hall like the first 3 conditions, they would use the meeting room for community purposes, and also they would allow the Masons to continue the meetings in their temple on the 2nd floor. And if you haven't seen that room with the barrel ceiling, it's really a sight to behold. You should visit it. So in October 2011, the building was moved to the Historical Center here on site to join the 1924 Town Hall and the 1850 Spooky Hollow Schoolhouse. Tough to say. A couple words on the schoolhouse. The building shown here at the Rusky Lane Spooky Hollow, the original site, was in pretty good shape around 1990, but in the 20 years that followed, the roof started leaking, other problems developed, and it really was in very bad shape. But the town board still wanted to have this structure here in the center. So the only salvageable thing was the 4 walls. So they took the 4 walls, they built a foundation, and they hung the 4 walls on a pre-made timber frame. And here you can see that it's just being lifted onto the frame where it'll be attached. And then they added the roof and some other parts. And this is what we have today as a really nice town offices, and it's part of our historical center. And I think we're the envy of other towns because of this facility that we have. But getting to the Masonic Hall, as I said, it was built in 1865. This is a 1907 picture of it from a postcard. And again, this was from the bequest of Theodore Schultz, who was known as Gus. And the idea was that the Historical Society would restore it, and this is the start of the restoration. You can see that a lot of work was needed, and thanks to a lot of citizen support in town, not just in funding, but also hands-on painting and scraping, and one of those people was sitting in the back of the room, Glenda. And as we went, this is what the result was, and again, it's now another town treasure. So, to move the hall, and as I said, the town hall acquired the building to use as office spaces. They first laid the foundation and a pad, stone pad, to accept the building. So the first thing they did, also they had to drop the wires so that could move down the road, and here they are dropping the wires. And they also had to remove the rear room that had been added in 1958, as well as the side of the kitchen. They also had to remove some of the foundation because the way this gets moved is a bunch of I-beams, not only this way, but that way. As you can see, there's more I-beams over here. You can see that they're starting to build the cribbing, which will support the I-beams. And now it's on the cribbing, it's raised up, and it's ready for, here's another shown of the cribbing, holding up the I-beams, so the building is way off the ground. And now the next step was to bring in what are known as trucks. They're hydraulic wheel assemblies, and there's three of them. One is in the front, and one on each of the corners in the rear. And these are hydraulically operated. So there's a closer look at the trucks. And the building is now moving onto the road because the cribbing has been removed. And notice that it is not being towed. Again, these three trucks are self-propelled. Here it's coming onto Center Road. Here it is on Center Road. And if you look in the back of what's happening, you'll see this person here who is controlling it. And here's a better view of the controller. There's a large engine which runs the hydraulic system. These are the levers that he pushes for steering the three assemblies. And he has somebody up in front that he's communicating with to make sure it's not going off the road. This is an interesting picture because as the building came down Center Road and came in front of the church, it's more than coincidental that both structures were the result of Gus's bequest in 1862. So he gave the money, he gave $3,000 and land to build the church, $2,000 in land to build the hall, and here they are together for the first time.
It's so interesting, the architecture is exactly the same.
Yes, yep. So now it went past the church, it's coming on to the property of the town hall. Here it is getting ready to come onto the pad. Now it's on the pad and it's almost at the end. And if you notice this ladder over here with the gentleman, his job is when it gets right where it should be, he's dropped a plumb line, which you can see here, and now the exact corner of the structure is lined up with exactly where the foundation is going to be, because these rebar rods sticking up are the center of the foundation walls, will be when they're poured. So here it is in final place. It's still on the cribbing, and still on the trucks. And the building gets raised, cribbing is added, the walls are built, and notice these gaps here. Those are to allow, when the building is dropped, to allow the I-beams to drop in so they can be removed. And you can see a piece of the rear structure here, the rear foundation. and more of the foundation is added, and that's where those notches are again. But if you look at the back, you can see that the rear wall has been added, and then the rear structure has been added to the original hall. And if you look closely at the foundation over here, the stone that you see today is fake stone. It's been glued to the walls of the foundation, and this is insulation material as well. More work was done on the rear. The windows were added to the foundation, and this is what we have today. Again, another town treasure, and it's part of our historic center here in the town of Clinton. Thank you very much. Can I answer any questions? Yes, Carol.
Do you know how long it took to move the building down the road?
It was the same day.
Yeah, but like, was it
Hours?
Hours.
I'm thinking it's about 6 hours, I think. I mean, it was just crawling, you know.
How many of us in this room were there when it happened?
How many?
How many people in this room were there when it happened?
Oh, yeah. Who watched this? Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good.
We saw it on TV.
Okay. Carol, you had a question? Oh. Yes.
Did you move it with the windows in it?
What?
The windows,
The windows moved with it.
they stayed in it, they didn't break?
Oh, yeah,
or-
yeah.
They support the inside of these walls also.
Yeah, it's part of the structure. Right.
Ray, do you want to tell everybody why it's called the Moon Lodge?
Okay. The Warren Lodge number 32, as I said, they were meeting in Lafayetteville. At that time, everything was either horseback or carriage. So they held their meetings on the nights of the full moon. And they were one of the few lodges to do this, because traveling those roads was, pretty hazardous at that time in the darkness. And they've kept that ever since. And today they are still meeting on the nights of the full moon, known as the Moon Lodge. Thank you. Yes, Carrie?
How many members are there now?
How many?
Members of
I don't know the number of members, but what happened was the members from other lodges joined as affiliates to the Warren Lodge, and that grew their population and allowed them to get not only funds but also full meetings and everything. So that worked out with the fellowship that they had among the other lodges. Yes.
How did they come up with the name Spooky Hollow Schoolhouse?
How'd they come up with the name?
Spooky Hollow Schoolhouse.
I don't know, and I've never heard a legend that refers to the Spooky Hollow Road. So I don't know. I'm sorry. Yes. Any other? Yes.
What do they do at their meetings? The Mason?
What's what?
What happens at the Mason meetings, Masonry meetings?
What happened to the meetings?
Like, what do they do?
She's not familiar with
I don't
Masons.
know.
She's
I
not
don't-
from this area.
I'm not from here. Are you one?
Masons are
Are
not
you a member?
common.
I'm going to call it a secret society. Their meetings are not open to non-members. They have different levels or degrees within their structure, and their meetings are part of their learning about their heritage as well as what they're going to be doing. So it's really a secret society, has been ever since its forming. George Washington was a Mason. It goes back as far as that.
So you're not allowed to say if you're a member publicly?
Oh, no, you can certainly say a member. In fact, they'll proudly wear a button that I'm a Mason. Oh, yeah, no,
But
it's,
the secret is what happens inside the four walls.
right, inside the meetings, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But you can go upstairs and see the hall, and there's a great big chair that the great poobah sits in.
There's a great poobah chair who sits at the, if this is the back, and everybody's out there, there's a chair on either side. And what's above that chair is a full-size portrait of Gus when he died in 1862. And this is an interesting fact. When the building was moved, the painting was taken down just for safety, put against the wall. But in the process of getting things cleaned up afterwards, it got ripped. And this was a big blow to the societies who still owns the painting. And they were able to apply for funds, and they restored the painting. So Gus has told me that he's very happy that his painting now has a good frame, because it was weak frame. The canvas was very weak. It's now nice and tight, and he's very pleased with the whole thing. So we thank the society for that. But Joanne makes a good point. You see this kind of ceiling here, we'll call it wainscot. The ceiling over there is different. It's a barrel. It's a curved ceiling. It's beautiful to behold. It's on the second floor, so if you ever get a chance, go up there and see it. And as Gus has always asked us, when you see the ceiling, look at him, wave, and say hi. He likes visitors. Anything else? Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your coming today, and I've enjoyed talking to you. You're a great audience. Thank you.